All Day Sports Show. We are talking some NFL football tonight. The conference championship games are what? 2 sleeps away, something like that. I'm very, very excited. 3 sleeps away. My bad. 3 sleeps away. Jaden Daniels tries to do the unthinkable, winning 3 road games in a row on his way to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. In his way is my Philadelphia Eagles, boys. Woo, baby. The Bird Gang at home. Very impressive season so far for the Philadelphia Eagles. 14-3 in the regular season. Only 3 losses on the year. 2 playoff wins. 16-3 total, guys. Very, very impressive for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. If you look at the totality of this season, they've only lost 1 game since the bye week. That was to the Commanders, but the Commanders had to score 22 points in the fourth quarter to win that game. Jalen Hurts got hurt in the first quarter, so he didn't play at all in that spot. The Philadelphia Eagles, man. Woo, baby. What a year for the Philadelphia Eagles. 14-3 in the regular season. 2 more wins in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts has got 4 playoff wins already, guys, in his young NFL career. Pretty impressive stuff. And then Saquon Barkley is having the season of all seasons. What an impressive year Saquon Barkley is putting together, guys. And it looks like the Philadelphia Eagles will be pretty healthy going into this spot. It looks like Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts are both a go in this spot. I was a little worried about Quinyon Mitchell. Had to leave that game very early versus the Rams. And Isaiah Rodgers got exposed very often in that game versus LA, right? So it looks like Quinyon Mitchell is going to be back. Jalen Hurts is good to go. Saquon Barkley is good to go. I'm very excited for this game. The Philadelphia Eagles are 6-point favorites in this spot. The Eagles are in charge of their own destiny, in my opinion, guys. They are the team to beat. They are a better football team than the Commanders on paper, right? But playoff games aren't won on paper. Because if that was the case, the Lions would have kicked the crap out of the Commanders. And the Commanders really gave it to them. The Commanders, what an impressive win, guys. What an impressive win. 45 points they scored on the road. 76 total points in that game. OMG. Usually playoff games, the majority of these playoff games, guys, have been pretty relatively low scoring, right? So, Jaden Daniels absolutely balled out. 22 of 31, 299 passing yards. Brian Williams added 15 carries on the ground for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns, over 5 yards a carry. De'Ami Brown and Terry McLaurin combined for 10 catches and almost 200 yards and a touchdown. Very, very impressive what the Commanders were able to do to this Lions team. But I did say in some earlier videos that I expected the Lions' injuries to come for them at some point in the playoffs. And it really came for them in this spot. The defense they gave up 28 points in the second quarter, guys. Absolutely incredible. 28 points. That's crazy. They scored 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. Unbelievable performance from Jaden Daniels and company. And Jared Goff just turned the ball over. A fumble, 3 interceptions. Jameson Williams added another interception. It's tough to win football games like this. It's crazy because Jahmyr Gibbs rushed for over 100 yards. As a team, 23 carries, 201 yards for the Detroit Lions, and they still lost. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 catches for 137 yards. Those turnovers in the playoffs, man, will kill you. 4 interceptions as a team. 5 total turnovers. It's hard to win football games when you're turning the ball over 5 times. I don't care who you're playing. It's just tough to win that way, man. It really is. Time of possession, 33 minutes to 26 minutes. And the thing is, Jayden Daniels wasn't sacked at all. They got no pass rush at all whatsoever on Jayden Daniels, man. And if you turn the ball over 5 times, you don't get after the quarterback, it's going to be a long, long day for you. And that's exactly what it was for the Detroit Lions. And then they lost their defensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn is now the head coach of the New York Jets. They lost their offensive coordinator as well. Commanders and Chiefs. Ugh, man, that's like worst case scenario for me, man. Yeah, I mean, the whole ref situation, I did a video on the refs. I think they let the Chiefs get away with a lot of different things, guys, that I don't really appreciate. And as a fan, I don't think the fans appreciate tons of illegal formations. They missed a hip drop tackle, some illegal contact down the field. There's plenty of penalties that you could kind of point your finger at and be like, where are the calls at? Where are the calls at? But the Commanders just outplayed them. I can't believe that Jared Goff turned the ball over that many times. 4 turnovers. You're never going to win football games like that, guys. And then if we look at the other divisional round game, the Chiefs, the Texans kind of beat themselves a little bit in that spot. I don't know. They didn't play great. The Texans, again, if you look at like the way they managed the game, 10 for 17 on third down. The Chiefs weren't great on third down either, 4 for 11. But the key facts here, right? 8 penalties again on the Houston Texans. If you want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to play clean football. And 8 penalties is not going to be clean football. Straight up. 8 penalties and giving up 8 sacks. You're never going to win football games like that. Yeah, I mean, I just think there were some dumb play calls there for sure. But for me, it's like you got to play fundamentally sound football if you want to beat the Chiefs. If you want to upseat this Chiefs team, 8 penalties, giving up 8 sacks is just not going to get it done, guys, straight up, right? That's not a recipe to win football games in this league. And, the Kansas City Chiefs they're 2 for 5 in the red zone, not very efficient there either. But the Texans, they haven't played really good football at all year. 10-7 on the season, 5-4 on the road. They only lost by 9, going into the fourth quarter, it was 12-13. You know what I mean? No, wait, what was it? Yeah, 12-13 going in the fourth quarter. It was anybody's game going into that fourth quarter, man. So the Texans beat themselves. The Buffalo Bills are a lot more fundamentally sound. Yeah, I mean, that's the Super Bowl I want to see. I want to see the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's the best case scenario for fans. And I definitely think that as an NFL fan, not just an Eagles fan, even the Bills and the Commanders, I just don't think NFL fans, unless you're a Chiefs fan, want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. I hope we don't get the Chiefs. But, honestly, guys, I'm thinking about putting a $50 bet on the Kansas City Chiefs. They either win and I win money, or they lose and they're not in the Super Bowl. It's a win-win situation, right? So I think that's the way I'm going to attack these games this weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles are favored a little bit more than I think they should be. The money line's coming in around -300. I don't love that at all from a odds perspective, so I don't know if I'm going to put any juice on the Birds game. Okay, so I think Ben Johnson watched the tape again on Caleb Williams and saw some stuff that he liked. Ben Johnson was the cream of the crop in this offseason from a coaching perspective, right? He could have went wherever he wanted to go. And I think that Ben Johnson believes that the Bears have a young quarterback who's controllable for the next 4 years at a modest salary. And the Bears have a few pieces that are interesting, right? So I think out of all the teams, he looked at the Bears and thought that the Bears had the most potential. And I agree with that. All the other teams are kind of quarterbackless, and they're kind of rudderless at this point with piss poor management. And I think Ben Johnson thinks he could turn around Caleb Williams. I mean, there's been a lot of NFL quarterbacks who had bad first years. I don't think the Jaguars have announced yet. Yeah, I mean, I've got to give Ben Johnson some time to get it right. The Bears' offensive line still needs a little bit of work. Keenan Allen won't be back next year. So, to me, with Rome Odunze and DJ Moore on the outside, they definitely have some pieces. They have good tight ends there as well. The Bears have a good foundation to be better. And they're going to have a guy that can actually coach offense. Eberflus was just kind of pulling at straws, in my opinion. I don't think he was a good fit for that franchise. But guys, if you're new to the channel, I'm Jay, the host of the Jay All Day Sports Show. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Eagles-Bills sounds like a great Super Bowl to me. Rams 7-2-1, still with the Rams chance. Sorry, buddy, we had to end your season last week. It'll be interesting. You think Matt Stafford's going to retire, buddy? It seems like he's kind of leaning towards retirement. So we'll have to see how that kind of shakes out. So, without Matt Stafford, where do the Rams go? Did they bring in a guy like Sam Darnold? I don't know. I mean, Stafford's still a very high-level quarterback, man. And, like, there's 20 NFL quarterbacks with starting experience that are going to be free agents this year, and there's not a lot of great ones. Do you trade for Kirk Cousins? That could be interesting for them. Oh, please don't tell me you're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, bro. He's not good. He's not good. He's not good. But he's definitely not Matt Stafford level, that's for sure. But yeah, let's talk about this Ravens-Bills game from last week. The Bills inched it out 27-25. Yeah, I don't know who's going to go after the Cowgirls. It doesn't seem like it's a very favorable job. Like, if I'm an NFL coach, right, Dallas is probably one of the least inspiring places to go coach football. You got to deal with Jerry Jones and the family there. It's just not an ideal situation. I would not want to be a coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Not just because I'm an Eagles fan, but just because dealing with Jerry Jones sounds like an absolute nightmare. He's a terrible GM. It just sounds like a job that I don't want to be a part of, straight up. Like, I just don't want anything to do with Jerry Jones. He's an awful GM. He's only hit on a handful of players over the last decade, right? Like, name some of the great players that he's drafted. It's not a lot of them. There's some. Not a ton. But yeah, I mean, Lamar and Josh Allen were just like pretty much even, guys. 18-25, 16-22. Allen only threw for 127 yards in that game. That's pretty crazy. Oops, excuse me. James Cook, 17-67. He had an okay game. Ty Johnson, 5 for 31. Some big runs. Ray Davis had some big runs as well. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels is he's just better. Is that true? How many wins does he have? Well, does Jaden Daniels have 2 already, right? And Dak Prescott, I can't believe they paid him $60 million. Yeah, it's kind of gross. Like, they haven't been relevant in 30 years, and, like, people still like the Cowboys. Like, I don't get it. It's weird, guys. But, Ravens, Bills. Yeah, it came down to turnovers again, man. A big interception by Lamar Jackson. Fumble by Mark Andrews. Another fumble by Lamar Jackson. Turnovers were everything, man. Turnovers in the NFL, especially if you're the road team, it's tough, man. It's going to be really, really tough to win football games if you turn the ball over on the road. Tough. Tough spots, man. Man, Josh Allen really spread it around. Yeah, in the 90s, that's 30 years ago. Yeah, Mark Andrews, that game's going to haunt him for a long time. Christina Amaral, welcome to the chat. Go Birds! Yeah, I don't even know if it's upset alert. I mean, I think the 6 points that they're giving the Commanders is because the Commanders' defense is so bad, right? They're awful. Like, straight up. Me and my dad were talking about the Commanders' defense. And if you looked over the last few games, they've just given up so many yards, guys. They gave up 320 yards passing, 201 yards on the ground, 521 total yards of offense versus the Lions. That's crazy, man. That's crazy, crazy, crazy. That's nuts. That's a lot. That's a lot of yards, man. A lot of yards, guys. They played a little bit better against the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers are without Chris Godwin. Not really an offensive powerhouse, you know. And let's be honest. The Buccaneers had that game won, and Baker Mayfield fumbled it away. Straight up fumbled it away. Yeah, their rush defense is so bad. You're 100% right. It's really, 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 really bad. Like, super awful. They gave up 101 yards to Bucky Irving and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another 200 and some yards to the Lions. They've given up over 300 rushing yards in their 2 playoff games. That's not really a recipe for success long term. It's hard to give up that much ground on the ground and then win football games, guys. But listen, I'm going to move over to the other short format. For whatever reason, YouTube's not pumping out this video, and there's only 5 people watching right now. So I'm going to go over to the short style, the vertical style. I'll be back in a couple minutes.